Okay. So what we're going to go ahead and do right now is actually create another little object called a news blurb. And we're going to go ahead and use an article tag and kind of show you some things here and there on how to make a quick, easy object that you can put on a web page. I've gone ahead and added my main CSS. I'm going to use an image, and here is my template boilerplate here with my main CSS already linked. So we're going to go ahead and use an article tag here. And inside here, I want to make sure that I have a class of a news blurb. Just like I did last time, I want to make sure that if I have other articles on my page, I can differentiate between this and another one. And in order to do that, we go ahead and put in a class. The next one is we're going to have a text side here. So I'm going to put in a div statement with text side. And then inside here, I want to make sure we have a H2. We'll have some sort of paragraph in here and a button. So we're going to have that. And then on the other side of this, we're going to have text on one side and an image on the other. I'll go ahead and put an image in here, but I want to put this in a figure tag. And after this, we'll just do a quick fig caption. So this is roughly everything here about the news blurb that we're going to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and fill this in. So we'll have some sort of news title. I will go ahead and I gave myself a little space on here. It's easier to activate the emmet that's in here. But you can type lorem and then 10 and hit tab, and this will give you lorem ipsum, 10 words of lorem ipsum. And then the button will have something like read more. So we have that. We'll go ahead and type in image and then the 2 labs. That's my 2 labs ph, and then I can just type in 2 labs. Okay. Alright, so this right here is all of the copy HTML that I'm going to go ahead and use. So the next is going to be me coming back with my screen, and let's start using some CSS properties to get this looking nice. Okay, not much to work with here, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and take care of this and get everything working. There's that one. Let me get this back here. Alright, so let's look at the CSS. So remember, we have an article with a news blurb for a class. We have another class for text. That's this area up in here. And this side is a figure statement. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is do our little news blurb. Inside here, I'm going to assign this a width. I'm going to assign it 750 pixels. Save. I'm also going to use an asterisk here. I'm going to put my box sizing border box. Sorry about that. Alright. So I'm going to have a width of 750, and I'll hit save. I'll actually add a border in here so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing here. So there's all my border. These are each of the elements that I put everything around. So for instance, this is the H1 tag. It goes all the way over here. So my width is 750 pixels. And I'm going to go ahead and give this an actual height. And let's call this 300 pixels. Okay. Yep. My labs are outside of this now, but that's okay. We will fix that. The entire news blurb, I want a couple things here. First off, I want to go ahead and add my own border to it of 1 pixel solid gray. And then I want to have a box shadow. My standard box shadow is always 4 pixels, 4 pixels, 4 pixels with a dark gray. So it gives it a little pop there. So width, height, just a simple border, and I have that box shadow. So let's go ahead and start with let's start with the figure. So we'll go with news blurb and then the figure. And that's the image. So I want to do a display inline block. And what I want to do is that I want to put maybe it's better to start on the text. That might be easier. Let's start on the text here. I'm just going to leave that for right now because it'll be easier to understand once I do this. So I'm going to go ahead and use my news blurb and my text side. So the first thing I want to do is I want to float this over to the left. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of margin top of about 30 pixels. I need a padding, and I want to do the padding left of 20 pixels and a padding right of 20 pixels. And there's shortcuts, and you're more than welcome to use the shortcuts, and that's fine. We'll go ahead and give this height of 300 pixels. Okay, and that just basically kind of started moving that down a little bit. And finally, I'm going to give this a width of 45%. Now, this is not 45% of the page, it's 45% of this object right in here. So when I hit save, it's now going to be 45% of this object right here, and the rest, because it's inline block here, is going to be on the side here. See how that worked? Hopefully you do. Now let's go ahead and use the text align center, not left, and hit save. And now I have a nice little news title here with a little blurb and read me more. And now here's my picture. So let's start filling this in and kind of going from there. So now we can come back to the news blob figure so you can actually see what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to go ahead and put a border in here. But I'm not going to stick a normal border. I'm going to stick in a border left, which basically means I'm only going to use the left-hand side of this border. And I'm going to use it solid, and then I'm just going to type in gray for right now. And it's there. It's right on the left side of this picture. Okay, so I'm going to do two things. First off, I'm going to go ahead and give this a padding left. And this will be of 25 pixels, and hit save. And that'll kind of come out. For right now, I'm going to go ahead also and just save. So you can kind of see how this is right here. You see this line right here? Now it's really, really dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight over the gray, and then there's this second column right here. This is the transparency column. I can go ahead and make this somewhat transparent, and it's going to switch this to an RGBA. Now RGBA is just your normal red, green, blue, but A is goes for opacity. So this is a little bit lighter because of the opacity. If you want to make it lighter than that, it's 2. Maybe somewhere around, I'll stick it at about 2. Just enough to kind of give it a little bit of a, hey, I'm there, but I shouldn't be what you're looking at. Alright, so I have a padding left there. We'll stick a width in here of just 40%. That will help give a little thing there. And I will do a quick text align center. This will actually start moving things over a little bit. See how you have the picture now? The two labs is underneath there. It's actually starting to kind of look like a little news article. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is do a news blurb of the text side and the paragraph that's in here. I want to make this font a little bit bigger. So once again, I highlight over this and says, okay, if anything with a news blurb and then a class of text side and a p tag underneath there, I want the font size basically to be 1.5 times of what it should be. And that gives it a nice bigger little bump there. The next thing, and the final thing actually, is this news blurb here, and then I want the text side, and we've got to make this button do something here. We have to make sure this button is a little bit more than just a readme here. So I'm going to go ahead and click a padding. Let's look at 7 pixels and 15 pixels. Alright, that's a little bit better. Maybe a font size of 1.1. That looks good. And maybe a little bit of the border radius here, 4 pixels. That should be just enough. Alright, so that looks pretty good. This was kind of out of place a little bit. We can actually change that to maybe an H1 tag if we want, or we can, let's see, H1 tag we can also do, where is it? Did I not? Maybe I didn't have anything styled on that one. Alright. So in any case, that's pretty much where we're at right there. We can make this slightly bigger if we need to. We can make this an H1 or we can make it an H2 again. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. I've kind of overridden some of this. If you want to play around with that, you can come up here and type in news blurb H2 or H1 if you changed it, and then take the font size. And let's go. Oh, that's pretty small. Let's go with 2. So there you go. That makes it a little bit easier. So this is a simple little news blurb that you can actually put on a web page or anything else like that inside other things. So go ahead and make one of these, and then I'll start showing you how to lay out things and everything else in the next assignment. Thanks.